Hey guys, welcome to CheatSheetPros.com. Today is Tuesday, February 8th, 2022, and we're going to go over our NBA breakdown. As always, if you want to play with our cheat sheets, they're free on Thursdays in our Facebook group. The link is in the description, and we're going to do a lot more videos and breakdowns in 2022, so make sure to subscribe down below. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I want to do is take a look at the plays that we had posted yesterday. So over here on Twitter, this is typically one of the first places where I put them up. We had Toronto -2, Miami -6, and then Utah first half. So what I want to point out here is Toronto was -2. Our model had -12, and then they ended up winning by 15. So the model looked good there. And then we had Miami -6. And our model had Miami -16, so the large discrepancies, and Miami ended up winning by 21. So we had a good day yesterday. We had a really good day Friday night going 6-2. And a lot of the leans and stuff that I gave you, the last couple of days, a lot of those have been coming through and hitting as well. So let's go ahead and get started for today. So taking a look at the slate today, the first game I got up, I was drinking my coffee. The Minnesota-Sacramento line, I looked at it and I was like, this line is stupid. I hammered it before I even looked at anything. I posted it on Twitter and in our chat group. The chat group asked, what's the model? I said, haven't even put the sheet together. Doesn't matter. This line is stupid. But anyways, that's the first game that pops up here. So we have Minnesota at Sacramento. Our model here has Minnesota -9. I knew it would be somewhere in that 7 to 10 point range. That 3.5, and I bought the half point and took it down to 3 was just stupid. And it's 4.5 now. And I've seen some people post that it's even -5 in some books, so it's moving quick. Looking at this, Minnesota's won 4 games in a row, all by double digits, 13, 11, 15, and 20 points. And then Sacramento, they are 2-8 over the last 10, but they have won 2 of the last 3. But Brooklyn is absolutely horrible right now. We'll discuss them in a minute. They're getting crushed. And then when they beat OKC, Dort was ruled out and Shai was already ruled out. So that's not a very impressive win. So I think Minnesota absolutely kills them tonight. It's one of my favorite plays on the board. Last 10 power ranking, we have number 5 versus number 30. So to me, this is a no-brainer. This is the favorite play of the night that I'm going with. So let's flip down. So we got the Clippers going to Memphis. A lot of money coming in on Memphis early. Our model has Memphis -15. When we look at the game, the Clippers are kind of win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. They won a game by 25 and they lost a game by 25. So they're a little bit all over the place. Minnesota's won 5 of the last 6 and 4 of the last 5 by double digits with 10, 20, 12, and 20 versus kind of mediocre teams equivalent to the Clippers. So I would lean Memphis here. This is probably one I'll do a first half line on just because I don't want to lose a backdoor cover if the Clippers are able to put up some points. Moving on to game number 3, we have Indy at Atlanta. This is another game Atlanta's getting a ton of money. Our model here has Atlanta -3. Vegas has it at 9.5. However, Indy did just trade away LeVert, so there are some significant changes. You can see Indy is 2-8 or 3-7 over the last 10, but they've lost a butt ton of games. And several were blowouts by double digits, as you can see here. Atlanta was red hot for a while, and they kind of went on a little bit of a skid. They're 1-3 over the last 4 games, but the games they lost were to Dallas, Toronto, and Toronto again, which are really good teams. And they did beat Phoenix, and then they were on a run here of just crushing everybody. So I would lean Atlanta first half here. I don't really want to lay the 9.5. If you do, that's fine. It's just not something that really jumps out at me. Last 10 power ranking, we have 25 versus number 3, so that is a plus for Atlanta. So I would lean Atlanta first half if you want some action in this game. Indy is bad on the road. They're 6-21, so you got that working for you. Moving on, we got Milwaukee at the Lakers. This is another line that I was shocked at, and this is going to be one of the games that I bet. So Milwaukee was -4.5, and then looking at the book now, Milwaukee's down to -3.5 with a large percent of the money and the cash on them. Our model has Milwaukee -15. The Lakers, they've won 2 of the last 3, but they're only 4-6 over the last 10. They've played several close games. They've won some, they've lost some, but nothing really amazing. Milwaukee's been pretty solid. They've won 8 of the last 9 games. And then they lost 2 big ones, but the last 3 games, I mean, they didn't play really good teams, but they won by 24, 29, and 14. And then 2 games before that, they beat the Knicks by 15. So our model has Milwaukee minus 15, so I don't mind laying the 3.5 here as long as Giannis is playing. Then I'm good to go with that one. Moving on, we got Orlando at Portland. Honestly, I don't give a shit with this game. Both of these teams suck. Orlando's lost 3 of the last 4. Portland's on an 0-5 run. Neither team is great. Our model has Portland minus 4. Vegas has it at Portland minus 3.5. So, you know, the 25th and 29th ranked team, I don't really have a side on. I would probably just take the dog because either team could win this. Neither one's that impressive. Going on to Houston at New Orleans. I like the Pelicans here. Our model has Pelicans minus 15, and this is basically just a standard pick on Houston no matter what they do. So we've got the Pelicans by 15. They're laying 8.5. This is probably going to be a game where I do another first half line and then kind of play it and see what happens. You can see Houston here. They've lost, 4, 5, 6. They're 1-6 over the last 7 games. And then 5 of the last 6, you can see here, they've lost by double digits, 13, 25, 14, 15, and 30. So they are just getting roasted. So I definitely think the Pelicans can do this one. And if you look at this, they just played the Pelicans at home and lost by 13. And now they're going on the road to New Orleans and they're laying 8.5. So I don't mind 8.5. I'm probably going to do a first line here and then go ahead and take a second half bet if it doesn't cover. And then you can see the Pelicans, they've kind of been up and down, but they had a tough stretch here with Philly, Denver, Boston, and Cleveland. That's a rough 4 games. And then they've kind of came down to earth and played some decent teams, and they've won 3 in a row. All 3 of those were on the road, I'd like to point out, and they get to come back home tonight. But they've won by 13, 8, and 10 each of their last 3 games. So they're trending up, Houston trending down. Got to go with the Pelicans here. Moving on to New York at Denver. A lot of money flying in on Denver. To me, I don't really like either side here. Our model has Denver minus 9. Vegas opened it at 7.5, so we're pretty close to that. Looking at the last 3 games, Knicks have dropped 3 by 9, 7, and 12 points. And then Denver, they're 1-3 over the last 4, so they beat a horrible Brooklyn team, but then they lost to 3 teams, a lot of them by, 4, 8, and 15 points. So I don't like laying 9 with Denver. If you are going to bet Denver, I would do it while they are at home. Oh, excuse me. But that's just the way I would lean. But to me, I think it's too many points, so that's a game I'm going to stay away from. Boston at Brooklyn. This is my number 2 favorite play today. So this line opened at 6, which I was shocked it wasn't double digits. Our model has Boston minus 25. Huge discrepancy here. I don't think Boston wins this game by 25. That's not what the model is saying. What we're saying is that there's a large difference between that and Vegas, so jump on the Boston side. Boston has won 5 in a row by 10, 36, 9, and 33 points. So they are just crushing fools. And out of these teams they played, the Pelicans are decent. Miami's a good team, and Charlotte's a good team. Detroit and Orlando's, don't really care about those, but they were road wins that they picked up. But look at Brooklyn. Brooklyn, this is why I love putting the last 10 games in here and color coding the margin, because it's so easy to open this sheet up and look at it. So they've lost 8 straight. And 6 of those 8 games you can see over here have been by double digits. 20 and 23 over the last 2. 11, 10, 4, 6, 10, and 11. So the last 4 games, they haven't even been close. They've been getting blown out. They got blown out by Sacramento, who was just absolutely god-awful. Now, getting beat by Phoenix, that's fine. They're a good team. And then getting blown out by Utah by 23, and then Denver by 20. I mean, this team's just ridiculous right now. And Boston, look at what they've held their opponents to. 83, 93, 92, 97, 75, 87. They're playing great defensively. When you look at this last 3 down here, I know I don't talk about this a lot in the videos, but the last 3 games, Boston's at a 1.08 efficiency and a 0.92 defensive efficiency. Now, what that means for you that don't understand those numbers is that means for every 100 possessions, Boston is scoring 108 points, and they're only allowing 92. So that's a difference of about 16 points. That's huge. Now, if you look at Brooklyn's numbers down here, they're scoring 103 per 100 possessions, but they're allowing 121 points per 100 possessions. So you have Boston, who's hot right now. They're a good defensive team going up against a struggling Brooklyn team who is very poor defensively. So Boston here is my second favorite play behind Minnesota. Those two will be hammered, hooked, and parlayed together. I'm either going broke tonight or I'm going to have a lot of fun with those two. Flipping on, Detroit, Dallas. Dallas minus 12. Our model has Dallas minus 14. Not a lot of difference there. They should win this game. Whether or not they cover, that's kind of up in the air. If you are going to bet Dallas, I like Dallas better at home, and I like doing the first half. Detroit's 4-23 on the road. They're 8-18 at home. Neither one are good, but they've won twice as many games at home as opposed to on the road. Looking at the recent games, they've been blown out 4 of the last 6 games by 13, 11, 10, and 16 points. So 12 points is definitely in the cards, but what I don't like about laying 12 here is they played a really good Minnesota team and only lost by 13, so that's real close to the spread tonight. Then they lost by 11 to them, and then they played the Pelicans and lost by 10. So they've kind of been hanging just under that spread. So if you are going to do it, I like doing the first half and then seeing what happens at the end of the first half, either getting a win, cutting the spread in half, or if they're down, then coming back and getting them in second half. That's the way I would play these large spreads, especially in the NBA. Dallas, they're coming off 2 big wins. They beat Atlanta by 9, and they beat the 76ers by 9. Defensively, they've been really good. The last 2, they finally kicked it back into gear. They were on a run here of 98, 91 points. And then they kind of got some games that got out of hand, got some big totals, but then they jumped back on the bandwagon and only allowed 94 points to a hot Hawks team and 98 points to a good 76ers team. So that is pretty decent there. Looking down here at the last 3 over here. So Detroit's upside down, 102 to 113, and then Dallas is right side up at 110 to 106. So again, I don't like laying the 12, but I can't back Detroit taking the 12 just because they could very well lose this by 20. Dallas is really good defensively, so my play would be Dallas first half and then play it from there. And the last game we have is Phoenix at Philadelphia. This should be a good game. Philadelphia opened at minus 1.5. Our model has Phoenix minus 4. Phoenix has been a monster. You can see here they're 43-10. They have one of the best records in the NBA. They're 21-5 on the road. They're plus 5 games against the spread, and they're even better on the road against the spread at 16-10. Philadelphia, you can kind of see they're 10-15 at home against the spread, so not as well as on the road where they're 17-11. As far as the totals, I'm not going to get involved with this one. I'm going to stay away. Philadelphia has lost 2 of the last 3 by 3-9, but then they beat Chicago by 11, so they're still a solid team. Phoenix, I think, is the way to go here, though. I mean, they're 9-1 over the last 10. They're beating everybody that they play. They had the one rough game on the road against Atlanta that was red hot, but I would lean Phoenix in this matchup. Again, I think it's close enough that there's not enough of an edge here to bet. So I'm probably going to stay away unless I start doing some crazy 4 and 5 team parlays. Then I'll stick this in there as one of the legs. But just to recap, my favorite play is Minnesota minus 4. It's probably 4.5 or 5 on your book, but I love that play today. I love Boston. And then I would lean on Milwaukee, Pelicans at home first half, already winning that game. Dallas first half, Memphis first half. And then one total that's jumping out at me that I like is the Hawks. Let me flip back up here and find them. So the Hawks at home have been really good. Last 10 power ranking, you have number 25 versus number 3. And I looked through all the trends for every game just to see if anything jumps out at me. And what jumped is this matchup between these two teams. It's 5-0 to the over. And then Indy is on a 7-1 over run. So 7 of their last 8 games they've been over. So that's something I wanted to take a look at, because it's 226.5. Our model has 222, so we have it going slightly under. But again, anytime I can justify an over, that's something I'm going to go with. When I'm looking at this here, Cleveland plays really slow and good defensively, so Indy at 183, that's not bad. But all of these other games, look how many points they scored in the prior 7. 237, 237, 238, 237, 223, 284, and 230. So they've been putting up a ton of points. So Indy just kind of goes with the flow. They don't control the pace. They just go with whatever the other team is doing. And then coming over here to Atlanta, Dallas plays defensive and slow, so 197, that's common. But then Toronto and Phoenix, 239, 239, 250 against the Lakers, 225 against Sacramento. Boston, slow defensive, around 200, that's fine. Toronto can go either way. They had a game with them, a 206 and 223. So I do lean over this 226.5. I think I had 227 on my book this morning when I was marking it. And then looking over here at the Vegas money, let me see, we had Hawks. They opened at 9, they're out to 10.5. 227, 227.5 on the over, and about 73% of tickets and cash is on the over. So Hawks over 227 is probably what I'm going to go with as another play. But anyways, I hope you guys like it. Subscribe to the channel. I like to go through every game, show you the cheat sheet, give you my opinion, what I'm thinking. I could be right, I could be wrong, but either way, have some fun with it, and I hope we make you some money.